Zoomers, Zeros, and Gen Z. The pandemic has widened divides in the labor market. The pandemic has widened divides in the labor market.
The pandemic has the pandemic has widened divides in the labor market.
Countries are beginning to emerge from economic lockdown.
Countries are beginning to emerge from economic lockdown.
As they do, the statistics show how different segments of the population
As they do, the statistics show how different segments of the population have been affected by the pandemic.
And the evidence is clear that the virus has widened existing divides.
And the evidence is clear that the virus has widened existing divides
Between professionals, low-paid workers, and the young.
Between professionals, low-paid workers, and the young.
Start with the most fortunate.
Start with the most fortunate.
Many professionals can easily work at home.
Many professionals can easily work at home.
Replacing one-to-one meetings with phone calls.
Replacing one-to-one meeting with phone calls.
Group meetings with Zoom gatherings.
And group
Google Hangouts.
And group meetings with Zoom.
Phone calls and group meetings with Zoom gatherings or Google
Hangouts. And group meetings with Zoom gatherings or Google Hangouts.
These Zoomers are mostly working on full pay.
These Zoomers are mostly working on full pay.
And are currently being spared the daily commute.
And being current.
Working on full pay and are currently being spared the daily commute.
And are currently being spared the daily commute.
Mostly working on full pay and are currently being spared the daily commute.
And being currently spared the daily commute.
Mostly working on full pay and are currently being spared the daily commute.
And are currently being spared the daily commute.
For them, the lockdown may be an inconvenience.
For them,
daily commute.
For them, the lockdown may be an inconvenience.
Particularly if they have children.
Particularly if they have children.
But it is not a threat to their standards of living.
But it is not a threat to their standards of living.
For many others, however, the pandemic is a serious threat.
For many others, however, the pandemic is a serious threat.
Some are key workers who have to attend their jobs.
Some are key workers who have to attend their jobs.
And are more at risk from the virus.
And are at more risk from the virus.
Others cannot work from home
Others cannot work from home.
Have either lost their jobs or seen their incomes cut.
And have either seen their jobs lost or and have either
work from home and have either lost their jobs or seen their incomes cut.
And have either lost their jobs or seen their income cut.
Work from home and have either lost their jobs or seen their incomes cut.
Have either lost their jobs or seen their incomes cut.
Work from home and have either lost their jobs or seen their incomes cut, despite help from government schemes.
Despite help from government schemes.
Many in this group were already in a weaker position.
Many in this group were already in a weaker position.
Many in this group were already in a weaker position than the Zoomers because they were in jobs with lower wages
than Zoomers because they were in jobs with lower wages.
A weaker position than the Zoomers because they were in jobs with lower wages or less security. Some people in this less fortunate group can be dubbed the Zeros.
Some people in this less fortunate group can be dubbed as zeros.
Some people in this less fortunate group can be dubbed the Zeros.
Some people in this less fortunate group can be dubbed the zeros.
In Britain, in this less fortunate group can be dubbed the Zeros. In Britain, almost 3/4 of those on
In Britain, where 3/4 of those
0 hours contracts are in Britain. Almost 3/4 of those on 0 hours contracts
on 0 hours contracts
key workers
are key workers
or work in shutdown sectors,
or work in shutdown sectors,
says the Resolution Foundation, a think tank. Shutdown sector group can be dubbed as security. Almost 3/4 of the group can be dubbed the zeros. In Britain, almost 3/4 of those on 0 hours contracts
almost 3/4 of those on 0 hour contracts
key workers or work in shutdown sectors,
are key workers or work in shutdown sectors,
says the Resolution Foundation, a think tank.
says
Shutdown sectors, says the Resolution Foundation, a think tank.
says the Resolution Foundation, a think tank.
A further clue to the toll on the low-paid nation, a think tank. A further clue to the toll on the low-paid, a think tank. A further clue to the toll on the low-paid,
A further clue to the toll on the low paid.
think tank. A further clue to the toll on the low-paid
A further clue to the toll on the low paid
came from the latest American non-farm payroll figures.
came from the latest American non-farm payroll figures.
Average hourly earnings rose by 4.7%.
Average hourly earnings rose by 4.7%.
April, the average hourly earnings rose by 4.7% in April, the biggest monthly gain on record.
In April, the biggest monthly gain on record.
0.7% in April, the biggest monthly gain on record. That sounds like good news,
This sounds like good news,
but isn't.
but it isn't.
It is the result of low-wage workers losing jobs in
It is the result of low-wage workers losing jobs
sectors like hospitality.
in sectors like hospitality.
The same trend can be seen in Britain,
The same trend can be seen in Britain,
where the average wage of those in shutdown sectors is a trend can be seen in Britain, where the average wage of those in shutdown sectors
where the average wage of those in shutdown sectors
is less than half of those working at home,
is less than half of those working at home,
according to the Resolution Foundation.
according to the Resolution Foundation.
The mortality rates make even grimmer news.
The mortality rate make even grimmer news.
Foundation. The mortality rates make even grimmer news.
The mortality rates make even grimmer news.
The low-paid and ethnic minorities have suffered most.
The low-paid and ethnic minorities have suffered most.
Figures from Britain's Office for National Statistics
Figures from Britain's Office for National Statistics
showed that death rates of security guards,
showed that death
Care Office for National Statistics showed that death rates of security guards,
security guards,
care workers and bus drivers
care workers and bus drivers
were much higher than average.
were much higher than average.
Security guards, care workers and bus drivers were much higher than average, while those in professional occupations
have
had death rates well below the mean.
death rates well below the mean.
Another great divide is between those already established in the workforce
Another great divide is between those already established in the workforce.
Another great divide is between those already established in the workforce and Generation Z, those born in the late 1990s,
And Generation Z, those born in the late 1990s.
and Generation Z, those born in the late 1990s,
Those born in the late 1990s
early 2000s, were now coming of age.
and early 2000s were now coming of age.
They are entering a job market extremely hostile to their prospects.
They are entering job markets extremely hostile to their prospects.
They are entering a job market extremely hostile to their prospects.
They are entering a job market extremely hostile to their prospects.
Around 30% of British employees
Around 30% of British employees
aged under 25
aged under 25
worked in one of the shutdown sectors,
worked in one of those shutdown sectors,
according to the Institute for Fiscal Studies.
according to the Institute for Fiscal Studies.
The shutdown sectors, according to the Institute for Fiscal Studies,
According to the Institute for Fiscal Studies,
think tank,
another think tank,
compared with 13% of those aged over 25.
compared with 13% of those aged over 25.
Those in university education are also badly affected.
Those in university education are also badly affected.
For a start, it is harder to get work experience.
For a start, it is harder to get
Badly affected. For a start, it is harder to get work experience.
For a start, it is harder to get work experience.
So badly affected. For a start, it is harder to get work experience. In America, 22% of employers have cancelled internship offers. In America, 22% of employers have cancelled internship offers.
In America, 22% of employers have cancelled internship
22% of employers have cancelled internship offers,
offers,
according to the National Association of Colleges
according to the National Association of Colleges
and Employers.
and Employers.
In the first week of May,
In the first week of May,
just under 2,500 internships were posted on Monster.com.
just less than 2,500 internships were posted on Monster.com.
Just under 2,000 employers. In the first week of May,
Just
just under 2,500 internships were posted on Monster.com.
Just under 2,500 internships were posted on Monster.com.
A recruitment website, compared with over 18,000 in the same week last year.
A recruitment website compared with over 18,000 in the same week last year.
Website, compared with over 18,000 in the Monster.com, a recruitment website, compared with over 18,000 in the same week last year. Many of the remaining internships were in roles
Many of the remaining internships were in roles
the same week last year. Many of the remaining internships were in roles which could be done remotely.
which could be done remotely.
In Britain, firms have cut entry-level jobs by 23%.
In Britain, firms have cut entry-level jobs by 23%.
In Britain, firms have cut entry-level jobs by 23%, says the Institute of Student Employers.
Says Institute of
Entry-level jobs by 23%, says the Institute of Student Employers.
Says the Institute of Student Employers,
A recruiters association.
a recruiters association.
The short-term shock of the pandemic
The short-term shock of the pandemic
will leave long-term scars.
will leave long-term scars.
The Resolution Foundation estimates that
The Resolution Foundation estimates that
the pandemic means scars. The Resolution Foundation estimates that the pandemic means those emerging from education this year
the pandemic means those emerging from education
will be less likely to have jobs in 3 years' time.
will be less likely to have jobs in 3 years' time.
From education this year will be less likely to have jobs in 3 years' time.
Will be less likely to have jobs in 3 years' time.
The likelihood of being in employment
The likelihood of being in employment would fall by 13% for graduates
37% for those with the fewest qualifications.
and 37% for those with the fewest qualifications.
The effect could last until the 2030s.
The effect could last until the 2030s.
A study of the effect of recessions on
A study of
last until the 2030s. A study of the effect of recessions on
a study of the effect of recessions
younger workers
on younger workers
by Bart Cox. A study of the effect of recessions on younger workers by Bart Cox of Ghent University in Belgium.
by Ben Cox.
Restrictions on Younger Workers by Bart Cox at Ghent University in Belgium.
By Bart Cox of Ghent University in Belgium.
Found that it takes about 10 years
Found that it takes about 10 years
for cohorts that enter the labor market
for cohorts that enter the labor market
during a downturn. That it takes about 10 years for cohorts that enter the labor market during a downturn
to
catch up with cohorts that did not.
At
At least young people are far less likely to suffer severe symptoms
least young people are less likely to suffer severe symptoms
from the virus than older generations.
from the virus than older generation.
Far less likely to suffer severe symptoms from the virus than older generations.
Than older generations.
But the economic hit comes at a time
But the economic hit comes at a time
when many already worry about the burden of student debt and
when many already worry about the burden of student debt.
comes at a time when many already worry about the burden of student debt and the lack of well-paying jobs.
And the lack of well-paying jobs.
A survey last year by Deloitte, a consultancy,
found that a third of Gen Zers
who plan to move jobs
felt there were not enough opportunities to advance in their careers.
felt there were not enough opportunities to advance in their careers.
Felt there were not enough opportunities to advance in their careers.
To move jobs felt there were not enough opportunities to advance in their careers. That the low paid and the young are the hardest hit economically by the pandemic
That the young
is a paid and the young are the hardest hit economically by the pandemic
that the low paid and the young are the hardest hit economically by the pandemic
is a dark echo of the King James Bible.
But whosoever hath not
But whosoever hath not
of the King James Bible. But whosoever hath not
from him shall be
taken away
even that he hath.
The social and political consequences may be huge. The social and economic consequences may be huge.